Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Narottama Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Vishnupraya Shavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita by Satsrup Das Goswami, Volume 4 in Every Town and Village Around the World 1968 to 1971, Chapter 33, A Lot of Ground to be Covered. Prabhupada reiterated that the only reason he had come with his disciples to the Mela was to glorify Lord Krishna so that others could understand the importance of the Krishna consciousness movement. But if the devotees were to successfully give Krishna consciousness to others, they must first realize Krishna themselves. It was possible, it said, to think of Krishna always. He gave the example of the Indian women carrying big water pots on their heads, just as they have learned to keep their balance in spite of all other movements. So a devotee, despite his activities and despite any mental agitation, should always remember Krishna. And the best way to remember Krishna is to practice always chanting the holy names. So, to successfully give Krishna consciousness to others means first we have to realize Krishna. At the same time, yes, even if we haven't realized and we are just repeating words of Prabhupada, others can become Krishna conscious. So in the process, we'll also get the mercy of Prabhupada and Krishna. So, but yes, the point is we have to realize Krishna, and the best way is to chant Krishna's name. I remember one of our teachers in our school life instructed that if you always think, I shall pass my examination with distinction, then you will pass in the first division. If you think I shall pass my examination in the first division, then you will probably pass in the third division. And if you think I'll somehow or other pass my examination in the third division, then you will fail. This means that if you expect more than your capacity, then it may be possible at that time of examination you will pass. So when chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, not that you chant only 1 hour, no. One should practice, and that practice was shown by Haridas Thakur, who chanted almost 24 hours daily. But because we cannot, therefore we have to engage always in the service of Krishna. That will make you remember Krishna. Prabhupada said that the chanting of Hare Krishna is exactly like a lion's roar. As a lion's roar frightens all small creatures, the chanting of Hare Krishna ends all one's sinful reactions. He repeatedly warned the devotees, however, to avoid the most dangerous offense, that of committing sins on the strength of the holy name. So that is biggest sin, seventh sin, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting of the holy name, thinking that I'm chanting, it will protect me, it will absolve me of all the reactions, I can commit sin. No. Yes, in our ignorance and because of our sanskars, because of our past mental conditioning, we end up committing sins. But the prayashchit is what? We ask for forgiveness from holy name, from Krishna, from Guru, and then keep on chanting and committing that I will never commit the sin again. And still it can happen because our conditioning is like that. But not that I commit sins thinking that holy name will save me. Then the name will not save. But even if you fall down, there is no loss. That is a statement of Narad. If one takes to Krishna sincerely and executes devotional service, but then again falls down, still he will come back. Just like we have practical experience. Some of our students have fallen down. But whatever sincere service he has rendered, that is his permanent credit. And one day he will be saved, just like Ajamil. So like here Prabhupada says, some of our students have fallen down. But whatever service, sincere service he has rendered, that is his permanent credit. So that is what Prabhupada has given us through his ISKCON, that we can perform service, render service. Daily we have chance. It's not like we can just do service only in the temple. No, at home also we can do. Especially chanting at home, anywhere. Grihe thaku, vane thaku, sarva hari bole daku. Whether we live in house or live in forest, just chant. And that Krishna keeps in account, always. So we have to we have to do more than what we can think of. On Prabhupada's last day in Allahabad, the Mr. Gaur Kishore visited him in his tent, inviting him to Banaras. As chairman of the 45th annual festival commemorating Lord Chaitanya's visit to Banaras, Mr. Gaur Kishore wanted Prabhupada to attend the festival as the honored guest. When Prabhupada said he felt ill and that perhaps some of his disciples could go instead, Mr. Gorkisho persisted until Prabhupada finally agreed. But first, Prabhupada wanted to visit Gorakhpur. See, another thing, Prabhupada is in Allahabad, Kumbh Mela, and there was no social media at that time. They didn't even have phones. Forget about smartphones. No phones. Still, Prabhupada's reputation, people get to know about him, of course, through word of mouth only. All over. Now, a person coming from Banaras to Allahabad, not too far, but to locate Prabhupada, he had heard about Prabhupada, he had come to Prabhupada to invite him to Banaras. And before that, like that, from Bombay, Prabhupada went to Indore because somebody invited him to Indore. This is this is kirti. This is fame. Not that in today's world, in the world of smartphones and IT and social media, we have to create our videos and social media posts and Facebook posts and Instagram posts to let the whole world know that I'm preaching this, I'm traveling here, I'm traveling there. Did Prabhupada do any of this? No. There was no media, no facilities at that time. So the point is, if we serve Krishna sincerely, and if we are doing our bhajan sincerely, Krishna will make all the arrangements to give us more, to engage us more and more in his service. That's all is required. Not we have to really advertise ourselves as I'm this or I'm that. Nothing. Just the mood of sincere service has to be there. That's all. Gorakhpur, February 3rd, 1971. The Earth Kumbh Mela over, some devotees went to Delhi, some to Bombay, and others to Calcutta. Prabhupada and the remaining devotees went to Gorakhpur, a 10-hour journey on the antiquated meter gauge railway. Prabhupada had been invited by his only disciple in Gorakhpur, Dr. R.P. Rao, now Ramananda, a research chemist who had met Prabhupada in San Francisco, taken initiation in 1967, and since returned to his family and 4 children to teach chemistry at Gorakhpur University. Prabhupada and his disciples moved into crowded quarters at Ramananda's modest home, and about 100 people attended Prabhupada's lecture that evening. Prabhupada already had plans for a Radhakrishnan temple on the Gorakhpur University campus, as well as accredited courses and degrees in Krishna consciousness, BA, MA, and PhD. He envisioned graduates going out to teach Krishna consciousness in school, colleges, and temples all over the world. He inspired Ramananda and a group of his friends to form a committee to introduce Krishna consciousness within the university, and he initiated about 1 dozen disciples Since they all professed to be following the rules against illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling and had been lifelong vegetarians, he waived the usual 6 month trial period. He asked them to chant 16 rounds daily and to make their city Krishna conscious. In his absence, they should maintain Ramananda's home as an active ISKCON center and try to establish courses in Krishna consciousness at the university. So that's it. He just initiated 6, gave them further instructions to do this. That's it. Then he left for Banaras. February 6, 1971. Mr. Gaur was counting heavily on Prabhupada's participation in the upcoming celebration. The climax of the week-long observance of Lord Chaitanya's visit to Banaras would be a parade, Mr. Gaur said, and Prabhupada and his disciples had an important part in it. Newspaper articles, handbills, and loudspeaker cards had announced throughout the city the presence of Srila Prabhupada and his foreign disciples. The devotees sensed that they were being treated like entertainers, expected to perform as if under contract, but without salary. On the day of the procession, Prabhupada rode in a silver chariot, the kind customarily used in extravagant wedding processions. The chariot was pulled by a pair of white horses, wearing silver crowns and decorative blankets. The leading float in the parade bore a 6-foot statue of Lord Chaitanya in a yellow neem wood. Next followed a file of decorated elephants. One elephant carried a banner reading Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. One carried actors dressed as Lord Ram and Sita. Another carried 2 actors dressed as Radha and Krishna, who waved to the crowds, and another a picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates performing Sankirtan. Next came a decorated flatbed truck with children portraying Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, chanting and dancing. Then followed a series of professional Kirtan groups and Prabhupada's foreign disciples dancing and performing Kirtan. Behind the devotee, Srila Prabhupada rode in his chariot. On either side of the chariot walked a devotee fanning Prabhupada with a chamar whisk, while Prabhupada sat with his right hand in his bead bag, his left hand on his cane. He was dressed in silk, with pearl buttons on his kurta. A white patch of sandalwood paste covered his forehead. He didn't wave or smile or turn to the crowds, but sat calmly, chanting Hare Krishna on his beads. Following Prabhupada's chariot was a Shanai group, several more Kirtan parties, and finally another statue of Lord Chaitanya, carried by 8 men. Festival committee said 300,000 attended, double what they would have had without Prabhupada and his foreign disciples. The procession was over, however, and as a star attraction, Prabhupada had made his appearance and drawn a large crowd, and now nothing more was required. He felt tired. He and his disciples were taken to a nearby dharmshala and served a feast. Prabhupada remained grave and as soon as possible returned to his quarters and his regular schedule. A student at the University of Banaras who had met Prabhupada at the Allahabad Mela stopped by to visit. The boy's father had given him a biography of Lord Chaitanya as a gift for Prabhupada, and when the boy showed Prabhupada the picture of his father, Prabhupada said, "Yes, your father is a devotee. So why don't you also take initiation?" The boy was hesitant. As he walked with Prabhupada in the garden, Prabhupada said, "You have got the seed of devotional service from my father, so you must now cultivate." "But how can I shave my head?" the boy inquired. "I'm a university student." "No, it's a custom. You should shave once, and then you keep short hair." "But how can I wear tilak? They will laugh at me." Prabhupada said the boy should not fear criticism. He should become a soldier of Krishna. Just as the government honors its valiant soldiers, Krishna rewards a devotee who accepts difficulties and criticism on his behalf. So even now, devotee students, they don't wear tilak or shave head when they're in college or at work. "What about Guru Dakshina?" the boy asked. "Guru Dakshina is just a formality," Prabhupada said. "It was a custom in olden days when someone gets initiation, he goes to the various homes. It's a sign that you have become the servant of your Guru. You are prepared to beg alms for your Guru. It is whatever you give." The boy returned home and told his father. The next day was an auspicious day, his father said. The appearance day of Lord Nityananda. a good day to receive spiritual initiation. So the next day on Nityanand Triyodashi, Srila Prabhupada initiated the boy, giving him the name Niranjan Das. When Prabhupada asked Niranjan if he had any questions, Niranjan said he wanted to know his eternal relationship with Krishna. Was it as a servant, a friend, as parent? Prabhupada replied that servitude was a common ground in all transcendental relationship with Krishna. So servitude, dasatva. So it's not like only in Dasiras one experiences this servitude. Even Srimati Radharani wants to serve Krishna, always. Gopis want to serve Krishna. They are in Madhurya Ras. So serving, this mood of service, that is important. Very, very important. Not that we develop a mood of being enjoyers. Enjoyer is what? Like, even as being a servant of Krishna, we develop that mood that, oh, I am the best, I am this, I am that. Then that's not service mood. Service mood is whatever Krishna wants, I'll just serve him in whichever way. So humility comes, without humility one cannot serve, obviously. So as now Prabhupada said, the servitude was a common ground in all transcendental relationships with Lord Krishna. By chanting Hare Krishna, Niranjan would become more and more purified and realize more and more his relationship with Krishna. Niranjan asked how he would understand his relationship. No, don't jump, Prabhupada said. You have some Shraddha, faith from a father, and now you're associating with devotees and chanting. Gradually, you will realize. So gradually, Krishna will give us these realizations or understandings as we grow spiritually. It depends on us how gradually we want to grow, how fast we want to grow. But there is no competition with anybody. Everybody is at its own pace, making progress and expecting Krishna's mercy. That's all. Patiently wait for Krishna's mercy. Niranjan agreed to be patient. Prabhupada asked Niranjan to arrange a lecture for him on the campus, and Niranjan, with the help of his uncle, a philosophy professor, got Prabhupada a speaking engagement for his last morning in Banaras. On the day Prabhupada was to leave, he met with John Greaser, the American photographer, traveling with him and his parties in Surat. John, who had shaved his mustache and thought a lot about his future, came to say goodbye until Bombay, where they would meet again in a few weeks. John found Prabhupada in the courtyard, enjoying the sunshine and eating good date sugar from a clay pot. Prabhupada asked that the pot be broken and distributed to John and the other devotees present. And while John sat licking good from a piece of clay pot, Prabhupada talked about his boyhood in Calcutta. John. Prabhupada was talking in his accented, rhythmic English about his boyhood days in Calcutta, and he described a gracious city before the crowding and squalor of today. As a schoolboy, he had seen splendid Victorian buildings of white marble, surrounded by stately lawns and trees. Suddenly, Prabhupada looked over at me and laughed. So, John, he said, I think Krishna has captured you. I agreed. I had known it for quite a while, but now Srila Prabhupada confirmed it. When Prabhupada was leaving Banaras to return to Gorakhpur, many of his disciples went to the wrong train station. While Prabhupada and a few followers waited at the correct train station, Kaushalya asked him, how did you like it here in Banaras, Srila Prabhupada? It's all right, he said indifferently. Did you have a nice rest, she asked, trying to think of some positive aspect of the visit. The rest I can have any time, said Prabhupada, but I like to be with my devotees. Surrounded by luggage, Prabhupada sat on the bench while Tamal Krishna and Shamsundar ran from the ticket office to the train and back. The train would leave soon, but where were the other devotees? Prabhupada watched as his spiritual sons argued with the conductor, telling him the train could not go until the other devotees arrived. They do not know what they are doing, Prabhupada said, and he smiled. Now it's supposed to argue with the ticket conductor, train conductor, that the devotees went to some other station. Gorakhpur, February 10, 1971. On hearing that Prabhupada wanted to preach in Gorakhpur, Hanuman Prasad Poddar, eminent head of the Gita Press Publishing Company, offered one of his properties, a two-story house, his former residence, known as Krishna Niketan. Mr. Poddar, who was bedridden in another house in Gorakhpur, had first met Prabhupada in 1962, and he appreciated Prabhupada's mission. So before Prabhupada went to America, he went to Gorakhpur, met Hanuman Prasad Podarji to get his Srimad Bhagavatam printed. When Prabhupada received permission to use the Krishna Niketan, he acted quickly. It was not proper, he said, that the deities of Radha and Krishna he had brought from Calcutta had been packed away in a trunk after the Ardha Kumbh Mela. They had already been worshipped, so the worship should not be stopped. The deities have to be installed tomorrow, he said. And he put Kaushalya and Nandakumar in charge of the preparations. Seeing that Nandakumar and Kaushalya needed more help, Prabhupada called for all his disciples, and soon 20 American devotees were scurrying about, preparing for the next day's festival. Prabhupada directed the devotees in cleaning the temple room from ceiling to floor and in building the altar. He asked Himavati to donate her fanciest saris, which he hung like a curtain before the table. That was to be the deity's altar. The altar needed a backdrop, he said, and while Kaushalya stood on the table, he handed her pieces of colored fabric to arrange against the wall. The backdrop completed, Prabhupada took a rug a devotee had bought in Allahabad and placed it over the temple altar. That night, Prabhupada surveyed the temple room. Oh, it's very nice, he said. He retired to his room and two devotees stayed up all night sewing clothes for Radha and Krishna. The next morning, the deities were placed on the altar and the devotees resumed their worship, offering them prasadam and arti 6 times a day. Many times we get uh, criticized, especially by devotees in South India. See, in South India, Srirangam temple or Shri Sampradaya, they do very elaborate deity worship, very, very elaborate and wonderful. And the temples have to be properly built according to Vastu and whatever requirements are there. So they sometimes criticize ISKCON. Your temples are not Vastu compatible and not according to the Shastras. And look at here, Prabhupada, I mean, he installed deities in a small room, no dome, no temple, and how the altar was prepared. But Prabhupada was satisfied. Actually, that is the basic principle of deity worship. Deities should be served nicely, with love and devotion. Of course, that doesn't mean if we have the means, we should not prepare a wonderful place for the deities. But whatever our means allow, we should have wonderful service with love. That's the basic thing. The devotees were living in an ISKCON temple atmosphere for the first time since they had arrived in India, and their lives became regulated and secure. The weather warmed, and the devotees, many of whom had exhausted their health in Allahabad, felt relief. The Gorakhpur temple was situated on several acres of agricultural land outside the city. It was a peaceful place. During the day, Prabhupada would rest as the sunshine came through the window and warmed his body. Okay, I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila.
Hare Krishna.